Hello everyone, this is Big Bosco here. I'm just doing a little impromptu video to announce that before the merge source code is now up on GitHub. Here I am on my LDSoft GitHub page here. What I've got right here is the before the merge page, and I'm going to post the link here and to the game's itch.io page in the description of this video. But yeah, I just have the code here, just one C file, just over 1,000 lines of code. I'm not going to do a code walkthrough, but I am just going to run through a little bit of it, so everybody can see what's up with it. I've got a I spent a few weeks working on this. It's not the greatest game in the world, but it was my first real try with Raylib, and it's I really like it. I think it's a great little not necessarily an engine. It's a very good framework for making games, especially in C, which is the language I'm most comfortable in. So as I put in the README here, you can go to the Raylib GitHub for their compilation instructions. All right. And so yeah, I'm just gonna show off a little bit of it here. Mainly, I I feel like even in the month or so that this game's been released, I've been working on other stuff. I've gotten better at coding in general because you're always improving. And so a lot of this stuff is, I might make comments about it. I don't think it's the neatest code in the world. It's not the best code in the world, but it does its job well enough. So I've got basically all of the game screens are separated into different enums: 0, 1, and 2. Menu 0, Office 1, and Cameras 2. All the enemies like Chris, CWC, Sonichu, Rosachu, and the Chaotic Combo are all different structs. Kind of similar, but they all have different quirks to them. They all have a texture. And the combo is instantiated as an array, so it's got 4 textures. They all have their vector 2 position, which is a ArrayLib vector 2, which is essentially, I believe, an enum with just x and y coordinates. If you want to know more, there's the Raylib cheat sheet. This is pretty much as much documentation on the engine as they have. They've got tutorials and stuff on their GitHub. It's a very, very useful community. Anyways, in height and width, cam location, AI, and I've got this little variable for stress on Chris specifically, which I'll talk about here in a little bit. An active bool, and then a bool for girlfriend free, which I just think is a little. First of all, I think it makes the if you decompile it and turn it to assembly, maybe makes the code a little obfuscated a little bit. Not that I think anybody did that, but just I like. Now we don't live in the age where every single byte matters in terms of how we don't need every single byte of processing power possible. So a few variables here and there that are kind of useless, but can be kind of like a joke. I think I don't see anything wrong with that. Now CWC has booleans for active and different prime attacks, just like how Sonichu and Rosachu and just those two, they have prime and active mode. I'll talk about that here in a little bit. Let's see what else we can do. So this is where they're not instantiated because it's not object oriented, but where the variables are created. So I've got these sounds here, more sounds, textures here, and then just basic other night variables like the time string, which in my new game that I'm working on, I handle a lot of this differently. But then right here, all of my functions I have prototyped. I didn't used to do any prototyping. I used to normally with my other C stuff, I would just do the whole build up your functions at the top of the code and then have the main function be the very last one. But I realized how helpful prototyping functions really can be. So there's that. Okay, so the first thing that the game does when it starts, if you know anything about programming, you know that the main function is the entry point. That's what the compiler looks for, and that's what it runs whenever you execute it. It looks for opens up a file pointer, and then the pointer is, looks for a file in the resources folder called night.txt, and it reads it. And if it doesn't exist, then the game crashes, saying that there's an error in opening the file. But if it succeeds, it'll print to the console file opened. Now let's see real quick. I'm just gonna show something. Okay. Now I'll just run the game here. If you pay attention here, everything in the entire game is regardless if you start the game, it always opens up the terminal on Windows and on on Windows and Linux. It opens up the terminal. So right here is that's the first line of code. It says file open, so it found it, and then it brings it to night 1. So here's something. Oh, another fun fact: you can't actually. I'm pressing escape. You can't start the game unless quit out of the game unless the game is started. That's a little bug, and I can show you exactly where that bug happens. But okay, yeah, that's from loading up. So again, let's look at that. Now we'll go to resources and look. Now there's that night.txt, so we just cat night.txt. It'll just print out 1. Let's go to Vim, and it just says 1. Now if we change it to say night 3, for example, and then we run the game. Okay, hold on. Now we run the game. Now I'll say press space for night 3. So that's neither here nor there. I just wanted to show you that every time it says print, like the print function there, it always opens up the terminal or the whatever command prompt you use on Windows, and it always prints out the debug information. In my next game, I'll probably comment out all the printfs in general because I know people, it's a little sloppy. But personally, I like debug stuff. I like having debug modes in games freely accessible. So anyways, yeah, so it says file open, and then it takes whatever the night, which is just the text of the file. It's just literally 1 number, and then it stores it in the night int that's somewhere. I don't know. It's somewhere up there, but the night int is just the current night. Now we got this block here that just gets a random seed by using the actual system time, because I included time.h. Now here's the raylib flags that allow vsync. And now create window, init window rather. This game is broken. It doesn't scale well. It's a very bad aspect ratio. Unfortunately, because that's the paint program that I have does. It defaults to 1000 by 600. So that's just what everything in this game is, and it scales horribly, absolutely horribly. But anyways, Now I'm gonna, set target FPS to 60. Find, this is the resources folder, and then it initializes the audio devices. So that's a window icon to that, which is just the window icon. It's also the thumbnail. Let's see, is true. Is menu equals true. That's a little boolean called is menu where it plays. If it's true, down here in in this menu function, while is menu, the current screen is menu, begin drawing, blah blah blah, and then if it's false, then it stops doing that. It stops drawing the menu, and then it goes to let's see. When is menu is false, it initializes the game. So that's the bug here, is that this whole thing, what I meant to do was put all this in this let's see, in this draw function where it's constantly drawing, and unless you hit the escape key or exit out. But I in fact made a completely separate draw method or draw function in the game, and so it doesn't follow the rules of everything else. It's just waiting for a space click. So there you go. Now I'm going to do one last thing. This is the initializing game function, and initialize combo, which is somewhere down there. Then it initializes the cams. So this is why there's a little waiting interval, is because it's got all the stuff to do. It's a little hefty, to be honest. Let's see, all cams in order. That's every time you hit the button. Well, first of all, it does this, but every time you reset the cameras for rows true, this function gets called, and then it says all cams are working in the terminal. So this is how the nights are initialized. It's hard coded. I wanted to make it into like a JSON or a text file or something, but I couldn't really figure out in the time that I wanted to release it, so I have it in the code, which they used to do in the olden days. It's called a lookup table. So whenever the night's initialized, it switches what the night int is. And if it's 1, then the night character is 1, which that's only for, I believe, the night calls. I've got the night calls as a, let's see, where can I find it? I probably passed over it. Oh, you know what? Let's see. Here it is. So the char call string is 28 characters long, and audio calls night 0 call dot wave. And so what it does is whenever a night is initialized, let's see, after that it plays it just takes out whatever number, or sorry, whatever character. It's a little late, if I do apologize. I'm a little tired. So it takes out this character here, and it replaces it with whatever the night int character is. And that's how we get the call. It's definitely a hack job. It's definitely sloppy, but it's worked. And the way that Raylib is, if it can't find a specific night, so, if for example, night 6 doesn't have a call, well, that's fine. It just doesn't play the sound. So that's all it matters. It doesn't crash the game or anything, or at least it doesn't on my computer and the computers I tested it on. So who knows? Maybe it does. I'm gonna do a couple more things. Again, this is the menu. How to draw the menu. I do that differently in other games. This is loading the pictures of the office and the door and the darkness in the door. The light's false. Current office is 1 because 0 is looking to the left towards the maintenance panel. 1 is looking straight ahead, and then 2 is looking to the right over by the portal to Quickville. Battery starts at 10,000 because it goes down 1 times the... Let's see the actual... oh, here it is. Call string 18 is Night Char, and then it loads the sound, and then it plays it right here at the very end. Now, what you're supposed to do in Railib is set it as a streamed song rather than a sound, because a sound is loaded in RAM. So the phone call is taking up a whole lot of space in RAM that honestly could be used for other stuff in the game. That's why it probably doesn't sound all that great. But from my experience, it works better that way than the streamed sound, which if you're, if your computer is doing something different, it can sound really choppy. I'm sure it sounded really choppy when, it probably sounded pretty bad a second ago. I couldn't hear it when the game was running. Okay. Again, it's all hard-coded. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The AI values are hard-coded. I'm just going to show you all of Chris's functions for attacking, and then I'll call it quits here. If you want to look through the source code, go ahead. It's I think it's very interesting to look at. It's not the best code in the world. It's probably not the worst code in the world. I'm not sure. We got our draw function here that is all constantly drawn stuff. Every single frame, it draws something 60 times. The update section. This is in this game. The update is it's also like an input function, and that's not. I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with that inherently, but best practices is to make like your update function, your input function, your draw function all separately, and then maybe call them all in the same function. I think, again, in my next game, I have the update function, and all the update function is doing, it's being called 60 times a second, and it's just calling the logic, the drawing, and the input functions. So, but here it does everything. It's a logic function. It's an input function. So probably not the smartest thing in the world. So there's initializing the combo. All right. So here's Chris's moving variable. I wonder if it probably won't show me this way. No. Okay. It's fine. So it's all based off of an attack frames system. So again, every second, 60 frames go by per second because it runs at 60 FPS. So every 300 frames, if Chris is active, if Sonichu is active, if Rosachu is active, and if Christian Sonichu is active, which by the way, they can't be active at the same time. If Christian Sonichu is active, then by default Chris is not active. They will move. And so Chris moves once every 300 frames, potentially. So what it does here is, we go back to the Chris move function. Oops. It picks a random number between 1 and 20. And then it says, prints out in the console, Chris random int equals that. And if Chris's AI is greater than the random number, just like this is all based off of that Tech Rules video of Five Nights at Freddy's. I really like that video. It's what really got me into wanting to make a Five Nights at Freddy's game in general. But if Chris's AI is greater or equal to the random number, there will be a second random number. So it's 1. It's about 1 out of 4, right? But, it starts 1 of 4 because it's 1 plus Chris's stress, which always starts at 0. And so if this one succeeds, if this random number equals 1, then Chris could move, but he decided not to, based off of a running joke in the Christian community where he has a video of him being stressed and he's just lying on the floor. So I wanted to make it so that the more stressed he is, the less likely he is to move. But he gets more stressed the more time he's blocked. So I'll show you how that works. Else, he moves, it plays the footsteps, and then his camera location goes up. So it starts at -1, and then he moves, and then he's knocked into the first camera, which is camera 0. which is the doorway. Okay, so if his cam location equals 7, which is past the office door, right? So I think 6 is the office door where you can see a shadow, and then 7 is the jump scare. If the door is closed, random number between 1 or 0 and 2, it plays that psi, and his stress goes up 1. So now whenever it goes back, it's a random number between 1 and 5. Now it's only a 20% chance that he won't move. After that, it's 1 and 6. After that, it's 1 and 7, 1 and 8, 1 and 9, 1 and 10. Eventually, he will almost never not move. He will move every single time. And so that's pretty much how it works. Otherwise, he jump scares you. But then again, if Chris's AI is less than random, he just doesn't move. So that's pretty much the logic for Chris. Let's see what else there is. Sonichu's moving pattern, that's a little different. Sonichu and Rosachu, they don't act exactly the same, but I'll show you these two. It's really quick, and then I'll call it quits here. But Sonichu move is again 1 and 20, and then if it's past it's the AI, Sonichu is primed. If he's not primed, then his camera location is the generator room, and he is primed. And then he waits. Then the next time he gets it, next time he gets a movement opportunity, he zaps the generator and then goes back to -1, which is off screen. We don't ever get to see him when he's at -1. But he's always not primed anymore after that. Then it takes 500 battery away, which is 5%, and it prints out Zap to the Extreme, which is Sonichu's catchphrase in the books, in the comics rather. Rosachu does something sort of similar in that she actually nearly identical. So what happens is she picks a random number between 1 and 20, and then AI and 20. If she gets it, then she goes to a random camera, 1 of 5. She can't be 6, again, that's in the doorway. So sorry, 0 of 5. And then she's primed. When she does it, she gets another movement opportunity. She knocks out the camera that she's in, and then that camera is out of order. And so it plays sound cam fail, which is the sound of me throwing a microphone across the room. It's an awful sound, and I'm sorry that that's one of my biggest problems with it. If considering how every 5 seconds you have to hear that awful sound when you're playing the merge mode, that's something I would have changed. I'm really sorry about that. Maybe if I ever remaster this game, that's something I will change. But anyways, that's the end of that. Combo does some other crazy stuff. But if you want to see all of this code, all 1,066 lines, then it's available for free on GitHub. And also, if you want to play the game, I'm not as super proud of it as I was when it first came out. I'm glad that I got a game out there. I'm glad that that's the hardest thing, is to get your first game out there and then feel good about it. I feel like it's at the stage where I couldn't have made it any better at my current level. So I hope you enjoy it. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a great day.